You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. We are back home in the studio with the camera, with the mic, with a light that may or may not go out because I think it's time to get a new one. And yeah, it's the off season, and we have got a long next few months ahead of us. We had a wildly successful season, and even with yesterday's loss, a close loss, a heartbreaking loss, one that's probably going to haunt us for a little while, especially when we think about that 4th and 13. That was brutal, man. And sitting there live and watching it, I couldn't believe it. I just felt so deflated. I imagine you guys at home were just as upset, and then the final result stunk and all that good stuff. But you know what? It wasn't even so much that we were playing with like house money, which was the way that a lot of people described ASU going to the Peach Bowl. It was just phenomenal to see ASU have the season that they ended up having. Real quick, I nailed it with this is the dream matchup for ASU. Texas fans, they misconstrued the entire point of that episode and thought that what I said when it was the dream matchup was that I thought we would walk all over them and stuff like that. No, the dream of it was it's a great team. It's a blue blood team to compete against and show that you belong there. And lo and behold, that is exactly what ASU did. They showed that they belonged in that game on the same field as Texas. Double overtime, one of the greatest college football playoff games ever, an instant classic. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I went live by myself, not the Big 12 squad live. My live is the instant reaction one that you will see the tab for. So if you didn't check that one out, you can click it. But just be known, it was on my phone. I didn't have my setup, so it's vertical. It's very, very different from what we normally do. But you know, we had a great year, and the fun is not over because, as you know, Kenny Dillingham got re-signed. And that's what we're here to talk about here on Locked On Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Richie Bradshaw, and I'll be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I already see quite a handful of you guys are in here. James Foster, what's going on? Go Sun Devils. Rexford Hazleton. This year was a hell of a ride, Richie. The Peach Bowl has been the only good game of the playoff. It hasn't even been close. Like, even this Notre Dame and Georgia game, like, it was fine, I guess, by the standards that were set by the other playoff games. I mean, ASU Texas was the best, not even close. None of the other games have remotely compared to it. Oregon got their butt handed to them by Ohio State. Boise State, Penn State, it wasn't a horrible game. It certainly was not a great game. And Georgia, Notre Dame, I guess I'd kind of put it in that category of like not a horrible game, not a great game. The first 4 games, all horrible. ASU, they did what they were supposed to do, and they stood up to the challenge, and they put together a hell of a game. So legitimately, a instant classic. When you look at the framework of every college football playoff game, so this is the 11th season of the college football playoff, if I remember correctly. It was the 2014 season, so this should be the 11th year. And the first year of the 12-team playoff, I mean, this goes up there. It's top 10 for sure. I don't know if I'd go top 5 because your top 5 is going to be littered with some of the national championship games you had, but this game was phenomenal. And again, I touched on a lot of that yesterday. Today's live, I want to focus on Kenny Dillingham's extension because I have not had a chance to talk about that like at all on this show. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Again, there's a handful of you guys in here. I really appreciate you guys jumping in for the support and all that good stuff. If you don't mind sharing the live, I would appreciate it. Let's have us a good conversation. I'll be hitting you guys up in the comments as well. Let's go ahead and get caught up Sergeant Donald, always good to see you in here. Good, sir. Just want to say thank you for everything, Richie. Thank you, Donald, and thank you to everyone else that has stuck around for the ride that we have had this season. But we're just getting started. Zebulon, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Horns up, a good game. Hook 'em horns. Dude, it was a good game. And at the end of the day, I'm glad that we were able to put up the game and the competition that we did, because Texas fans came in, and we can be blunt about it. They didn't think that we were a good football team, or that we were talented, or we were gonna challenge them. Everyone was saying, "Oh, 20 points, 30 points, cover the spread, all that good stuff." I said that wasn't going to happen. Apparently, it was very unpopular in Austin, Texas, and we proved ourselves. So, but I mean, now you're seeing the comments like that, where it's like, "Hey, good game. You guys showed up. You gave us a run for our money." Like, end of the day, that's all that matters. End of the day is ASU proved themselves, which is all I wanted. I would have loved to win, absolutely. But this was the result that I cared about the most, was proving that we belonged there, and that's exactly what we did. Timberwolves 95, what is going on, my friend? Heartbreaking loss, that fourth down and that target. Nevertheless, have lots to celebrate. Great season, Big 12 champs, Sun Devil Nation. Hold your heads high. What else we got? We had a great ride, proved we belonged, and the future is bright as the sun. Go Devils. Baritone, I hope I said that right. What is going on? Nice to see you in here. Steve Dunlap says Dilly for president 2028. Why not? He's got all his eligibility. When 2028 rolls around, he will be 34. Wait, no, he was born in 9. He'll be 38. Cool. He's eligible. He's eligible to run. Let's do it. We proved games aren't played on paper. My wife and I are just proud of this team and the season. It's a great time to be a Sun Devil. Yes, it is. Timberwolves 95, and our game was the best game in the whole tournament so far. Yeah, not even close. Nick Zapata, what's going on, Nick? Richie, thank you so much for your awesome coverage. So glad I found this channel. I'm glad you found this channel too. And, stick around. We're going to have a good time. Best game also shows that our Sun Devils can hang with an SEC when it really counts. Exactly. Now, let's go ahead and hop into the conversation that I would like to focus this live on. Kenny Dillingham's extended. We can officially shut down all the speculation that had been started up from everywhere except this channel and everywhere outside of Tempe. So I promise you talk to anyone, Chris Cartman, Brad Denny, Joe Healy, Tim Healy. It didn't matter who you talked to. They all would have told you exactly what I have been saying, and that's that he is not leaving. Well, guess what? He's not leaving. He signs his extension. I haven't even looked at the details yet, because I was so busy out in Atlanta with the game, and I was meeting a bunch of people. I definitely have to shout out everyone that I met. I'm going to save that for tomorrow's episode. I've got a whole list of people that came up, introduced themselves to me, and I really appreciate you guys. I'm definitely going to make sure you get your own special shout out. Let's go ahead and check the contract details. Like I said, I actually have not gotten to sit down and look at the specifics of everything. I just know that it was a 5-year deal, but I don't know if that's added on to the 5 years or if it's increasing what he's getting paid. The one thing I saw is it's going to make him one of the higher paid coaches in the Big 12. I imagine he's going to be up there with, like, God, I don't even know what Deion's making, honestly, but I know that you're going to have Sonny Dykes is making a lot of money. I think Dave Aranda's making some pretty decent money at Baylor. Obviously, Mike Gundy's making a ton. I have no idea about Kalani Sitake. Of course, I can't remember K-State's head coach. He's probably making good money. Obviously, Kyle Whittingham is making good money. So that's pretty high praise for him to be up there. All right, I've got the ESPN article pulled up now. Let's go ahead and see. Includes a pathway to extend to 10 years. Okay, so there you go. So that's the longevity of this contract, where we're going to have him forever. And in the meantime, you can always revisit this thing and add on all sorts of incentives and extensions and stuff like that. So Kenny's not going anywhere, contrary to what everybody else in the country outside of the state of Arizona, and especially the city of Tempe, was telling you was going to happen. He's back. He's back. We're good to go. Let's see. A wide-ranging commitment to football at Arizona State, which won the Big 12 this season. First conference title since 96. Rosters, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's just a bunch of... Okay, here we go. So Dillingham among the lower tier of Big 12 coaches in base salary, at $4.05 million. He's already earned more than $2.5 million in bonuses after the 11-2 season, a conference title, and all that good stuff. Bonuses expected to climb to $3 million later in the spring for academic bonuses and everything like that. Wait, does this not have the details? That's just okay. That's just a announcement. I would like to see the details here. We'll keep looking. In the meantime, what's going on in the comments, everyone? BC's in here. BC, what's going on? Good to see you. Go Sun Devils. You know it, baby. Forks up. Mark Felder. Mark, good to see you. The 2024 Sun Devils brought many dormant fans like myself back into the fray. Kenny is exactly what the program needs, and it would be golden if the Cardinals snatched up Scadaboo. I mean, Kenny Dillingham has already given out his endorsement to the Arizona Cardinals to draft Scadaboo, and I know that every fan in the desert would be all over that for sure. But to your point, Mark, about the bringing the dormant fans back, that's what this activating the Valley thing is all about, is getting everybody back involved, because Arizona sports fans, like, it's tough to have the consistency at times. But when you give these fans a good product, they're as loyal as they come. I mean, you couldn't pay me to go see the Suns 10 years ago. And now the Suns are one of the best tickets that you can get in the Valley. If you've ever got free time, you can get tickets for a reasonable price and go watch Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and all of them. Like, when you give fans something that's worthwhile, they're going to pay for it. So for ASU, you just won 11 games this year. You won a conference title in your first year in the conference. You just went to the college football playoff, went to double overtime with an SEC team who is one of the heavyweights to win the entire national title. Like, that's a huge deal. That's going to get people reinvested. So like Mark said, it got him back into it. But Mark, you're not going to be the only person. I know you know that. There's people who probably didn't watch any Sun Devils football this year that are learning about this for the first time. They saw ASU in the playoff. They went, what? ASU in the playoff? And they tuned in and they enjoyed the game and they go, what crap, maybe I got to watch this team next year. And we're going to see Sun Devil Stadium next year. Mountain America Stadium is going to be filled up way more consistently than it has been over the last handful of years. ASU had 2 sellouts this year. They might have had 3. The BYU game was a true sellout. They said they sold out Kansas. I thought there were empty seats. I think they said they sold out Utah. Again, there were some empty spots. That BYU game was a true sellout, though. We're going to see that way more consistently. We're going to see the fans and the students stay in the student section and then in the stands in general for the entirety of the 60 minutes of the game instead of leaving at halftime. The NIL is going to catch up. The recruiting is going to get better. Everyone is going to get reinvested into this program, and it's really, really, really exciting to see all of this start to come together now. And Kenny Dillingham obviously is at the forefront of all of this good stuff. So it's a great time to be a Sun Devil fan, and it's awesome that it's bringing back older fans who have been waiting for something to cling on to and grasp and enjoy. It's not fun to watch bad football or bad sports. When you give people a good product, yeah, they're going to be much happier and willing to put in their time, effort, their money into this program. ASU was there, and Kenny Dillingham is the reason for it. Let's see what else we got going on. Richie loved the coverage this season. I also love the lives, and I want to do lives as often as I can. Definitely once a month for sure at a minimum. I would love to try and do it almost every other week. Anything that we can try and do that for BC. ASU basketball is 93. Expect more basketball coverage. We have been all over football because that's by far the biggest thing that's been going on. But ASU basketball is very quietly playing good basketball right now. So expect more coverage on that, especially as the off season is among us. We got lots of good stuff coming up. I've got future player interviews that are lined up and all that good stuff. So now's never been the better time to subscribe and all that. Let's see. Say, man, do you think Brian Carrington and Hines Ward are going to stick around? I don't see why they would leave unless there's other programs that are going to throw money at them to take on different positions. But I do think that both Coach Carrington and Coach Hines Ward are going to be here at least for this year and hopefully beyond that as well. John Williams, forks up, baby. We're going to be better and better. The sleeping giant activated. The sleeping giant is definitely activated. Sean's in here. Sean Benitez, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Sad to see Scattaboo be done. The running back room needs to watch the highlights and work on that balance. Huge shoes to fill. John Williams, keep up the good work. Appreciate you, John. The sky is the limit for this team right now. And I legitimately can't find any specific details in here about the extension. I've looked at like 3 or 4 different places now. If there is a spot where they have the specific details of the extension, if you can put a link in the comments, I really appreciate it so I can take a look for myself. But let's go ahead and move on and talk about Kenny Dillingham and the scope of it and what this means for the future of the program. So like Mark brought up, you are reintegrating some of the older dormant, as he worded it, and I think that's a perfect way to word it, the dormant fans, the fans who have been waiting for something worthwhile to invest in and to watch. Here it is. And now you're ensuring the future for 2025 and beyond. Scattaboo's gone. That's huge. Cam Scattaboo is legitimately one of the greatest Sun Devils to ever suit up in Tempe. He played 2 seasons here. He is one of the greats. He should be in the Ring of Honor. He is going to be the face of the Kenny Dillingham era. When we look back at the end of the Dillingham run, whether it's a handful more years or it's 20, 30, 40 years, I think he's going to be here a long, long time. We're going to look back at the beginning of this era, and Cam Scattaboo is going to be exactly who we think of first. Texas fans in here, appreciate it. I'm not addressing Texas comments right now. We had that time. This is a Kenny Dillingham episode. So appreciate you guys tuning in, though, and being good sports. Truly do. And you guys showing out the love and everything. So much appreciation. I'm not talking about the game today. The sky is the limit for this team, though. And you're bringing in these fans that have been waiting. And you're bringing so much of this roster back, too. Like, you can say I lost my train of thought. This is a Cinderella team. You could say that it was a Cinderella team. That's fine. That's your opinion. It could be, but they are definitely built for long-term success. You're losing Scattaboo. You're losing several really important players. Leaf Fotanu is going to be gone at center. Shamari Simmons is going to be gone at safety / nickel corner, all that good stuff. You're losing one of your key defensive tackles in Jeff Clark. One of your star linebackers, Caleb McCullough, was gone. You're losing the vast majority of your receiver room. Xavier Guillory is gone. Troy O'Mary is gone. Melcon Stovall is gone. You know, the guy who was definitely hit for targeting. Yeah, because I know you guys are talking about that in the comments. Just know that was definitely targeting. Say whatever you want. Neither here nor there. Like I said, I'm not talking about the game. You are losing a lot of important pieces from this team, but you're also returning a lot of important pieces from this team. You're bringing back Sam Levitt. Jordan Tyson, I am 99.999% positive he's returning to this team. You're bringing back Kyson Brown, Raleek Brown in the backfield. You are returning Malik McClain at wide receiver. The offensive line has got several different players that are returning as well. Ben Coleman is coming back. God, who else? We haven't heard anything from Max Yoniker or Kyle Scott yet. I suspect they're going to be back as well. I am anticipating Atkins is going to be here. There's a lot of other depth guys that will be returning as well. There's the tight end spot is going to have Shimon Mateer back. You're going to have most of your defensive line is back. You lost Jeff Clark, but CJ Fight and Jacob Rich-Kongaika and Zach Swanson are all returning as well. You're returning your edge rushers. Elijah O'Neal is back. Clayton Smith is back. Justin Wadley is back. You've got the linebacking core is pretty much all intact with Keyshawn Elliott and Zyrus Fiaseu and Jordan Crook. You've got your corners coming back, Keith Abney and Javen Robinson, and Miles Rouser is back. I anticipate Xavier Alford is going to be back as well. So much of this team that brought you so much success this year is going to be returning for next year, which is going to give you an opportunity to get right back into the playoff. You're going to be one of the heavyweight favorites to win the Big 12, if not the outright favorite to win the Big 12. It is a special thing they've got going right now. So you're talking about at least one more year of a really, really good football team. And let's say you run it back. Let's say you win the Big 12 again. You go to the college football playoff and you make some noise again. Let's say this time you get a win. We'll say you get a college football playoff win. I won't say a national championship. I do think you'll be contending. Obviously, if you go to the playoff, you're contending for a national championship. I'll say in this instance, they get a playoff win. I'm not going to guarantee anything beyond that. Will Butler, Alford does have one more year of eligibility. He has one more year of eligibility as a junior. Anyways, back on track. Calvin's in here. Incredible showing by ASU and Dillingham. Props. Much appreciated. Dennis Headley, what's going on? I do not have any information on the portal. The only thing I know is that we're going to be waiting on the Branch brothers, Zachariah and Zion. They're visiting Miami. They visited today. I don't know how that went. ASU is going to be in the thick of it with Miami and Tennessee. It sounds like those are going to be our big competitors here, but ASU still firmly in the thick of it. Other than that, I don't know. Back on track. You are bringing back the majority of that roster. We're going to say that you win one playoff game. It just gets better from there. And again, some of your bigger names still have eligibility to come back. So next year, for sure, you will lose Xavier Alford, Miles Rouser. Oh my goodness, what's his name? Clayton Smith. Prince Dorval is returning as well, but he would also be out of eligibility next year. Elijah O'Neal will be out of eligibility. Jacob Rich-Kongaika would be out of eligibility. A couple of the offensive linemen would be, but you could bring back all your running backs. And Kanye Udo is coming in, does have 2 more years of eligibility, so Udo could return as well with Kyson Brown and Raleek Brown and everyone else. Sam Levitt has 2 more years of eligibility after next season. Jordan Tyson could return for 2026. You have your young tight end room. Like, there's still so many guys that could be here, not just for next year, but the year after that, and some of them the year beyond. And this upcoming year, 2025, we're going to see Kenny Dillingham's recruiting classes, because these first few years have been really built off of the strength of the transfer portal, as ASU was building up their culture and they were getting these veterans to come in and help change the way that ASU was playing football and start coaching up these young kids. So many of these red shirts. Going into next year, you're going to have a ton of redshirt sophomores and a ton of redshirt freshmen. And they're going to get more and more opportunities to get onto the football field because so many of these veterans are now gone. And Kenny Dillingham had mentioned a few weeks ago when the portal opened, he was only really looking to add, I think he said 8 to 9 players, and that he loves the roster that's in place. So we're going to see how good this roster is. We're going to see if it's going to live up to the hype that Kenny Dillingham is placing on it. And that's exciting because you're only going to be as good as you are recruiting. So if Kenny Dillingham is not the master recruiter that we all believe he is, and we all have a very good feeling that he definitely is. We've seen the track record at other programs, and we've seen how quickly he's turned around ASU. If his freshman recruits, if those end up turning into studs and stars, your Jaden Fortiers of the world, Jason Brown, who was in his first ever class. Rashad is gone. A handful of guys have transferred. Keith Abney was one of his first recruits, and look how good Abney has become. Abney's one of your full-time starters at corner. He's become great. So you're going to get a taste of Kenny Dillingham's actual recruits in 2025. And they're going to be here for a while. There's no guarantee that ASU is just going to be depleted year after year after year. And with you keeping Dillingham in place and with you holding on to your coordinators, Brian Ward on defense and Marcus Arroyo on offense, the core of your team is going to want to stay here. Guys may leave for more playing time at other locations, or maybe they just feel like they're not a fit at ASU, or maybe there's other NIL opportunities. But for the most part, I would imagine that if you were committing to Arizona State for the purpose of playing under Kenny Dillingham, Marcus Arroyo, Brian Ward, there's not a lot of reason for you to leave because they're all staying here. They're all staying here for Arizona State, and that is special. And that's what's going to potentially turn ASU into a dynasty. I mean that, like, with all my heart. We all know that ASU is the sleeping giant, and it's awake. This sleeping giant is wide awake. And it's not just from a good football team. It's all of the other things that surround and make you a good program. The NIL is catching up at a rapid pace, and it's about to skyrocket after a playoff appearance. If it's not already blown up, it's only going to get bigger. Recruiting is going to get better. The fan showing and support is going to get better. Last night / this morning, when ASU rolled into Mountain America Stadium from the airport, hundreds of fans were there with signs, and they were cheering and all that good stuff for the players as they were getting off the bus to show their appreciation. This Valley is activated. They are bought into this team. That is one of the biggest components that we need right now for ASU to have the continued sustained success here, is having a fan base that cares, having a fan base that's going to show the support. Do you think these players want to go out and play for a stadium that's half empty every week? No. They want to go out and they want to see those stands full, and they want to see those fans loud, invested, and there for the entirety of the football game. And that's been getting better and better as the season progressed. We went from week 1 with Wyoming, where it was already not a great showing by the stadium. The student section had set a then record that they ended up breaking for attendance, but half of them left to go to Mill Avenue. So it wasn't the best showing against Wyoming. But the last game of the year, the last home game, was BYU, and that was, like I said, that was a true sellout. Everybody was at that game that cared about ASU, and it was special to watch. It was so much fun, not just to see ASU play BYU the way they did, but to look up in the crowd and on the field and just hearing how loud everyone is. Javen Robinson's interception, my ears were ringing. I was on the field for that. My ears were ringing. It was so loud. That's what these players want, and that's what's going to make them stay. So many of these factors are going to play together. But you know what the common denominator is? Is Kenny Dillingham is the reason all of this exists. All of it. He recruited these guys. He got the guys to transfer. He assembled this staff. He assembled this staff. He helped activate the Valley. He called out the fans. He said, hey, come out here. Come support us. He was part of the reason that the Sun Angel Collective was established for the NIL. He is the reason that ASU has the identity of hashtag Activate the Valley. Kenny Dillingham is the source of everything that is going on with the Sun Devils program right now. Special is an understatement. What he is doing here. ASU is getting ready to build something special. This is going to be so much fun. And I encourage you guys, if you're not bought in all the way to the Sun Devils football team by now, and I would imagine if you're tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils, you probably are all in on this football program. Now's the time to get all in. The season tickets, they were saying they've sold hundreds over the last couple of weeks because fans want to go to these games. The season ticket sales are going up. I imagine places like Cactus Sports and all your other clothing design companies and apparel companies, Home Field, which has all sorts of good vintage stuff. Like their ASU merchandise is probably popping off right now, and they're just flying off the shelves. And these Cam Scadaboo jerseys and these Sam Levitt jerseys and the Devil Went Down to Georgia jerseys, like all of these amazing pieces of apparel to support Arizona State. It's all just flying off right now because Arizona State has given us a reason to buy in. And that reason is Kenny Dillingham. And now he's locked up. Kenny Dillingham's going to be here. Sam Levitt here at least one more year. And when he's gone, whether that's in 2026 or beyond, ASU's recruiting quarterbacks right now. So they've got Michael Tollefson is coming in. I would anticipate he redshirts, but he's a former 4-star, a high 3-star kid. He's been committed to the program for over a year and a half at this point. He's talented. You can't forget about Navi Bruzan, the face of Activate the Valley, the Liberty High School legend, one of the greatest high school players in the history of the state of Arizona. He's still here. You're going to have Jake Fetty coming in, the 2026 class. He's currently a high 4-star. There's a chance he gets up to a 5-star with one more year left in high school. They're only going to continue to recruit. Remember, this time a year ago, even 2 years ago, for the first year of Kenny Dillingham, I said I promise the 5-stars are going to be around the corner. They're coming, man. They're right there. We are already doing such a great job of recruiting as it is. And Kenny Dillingham has said many a times, and I do believe this, is you want guys that will benefit your team the most. So it's not always about the 5-stars, but that doesn't mean that you're exclusively going after 3-stars or 4-stars or whatever. You're looking for guys that fit what you want to do in terms of how you play and in terms of how you're building your culture. You want guys that are going to be bought in, guys that are going to be good students and represent the university well, guys who will be active in the community. All of that good stuff is what ASU is going to be looking for. Not what they should, what they are looking for here. That's what Kenny Dillingham is building. And you're just going to continue to see that being the case. So sure, we haven't seen a 5-star yet, and we've seen a handful of 4-stars. Jaden Rashada was the first 4-star we ever landed. And then we had Jaden Fortier, and we have Cameron Dyer and Jason Brown. We've got 4-stars that are coming into this program. AJ Ia is another one of those guys. ASU is bringing them in. They're coming. And the 5-stars, they're taking notice of ASU. They're going to be here soon. Kenny knows how to recruit. Let's check some comments. Let's see. Will Butler, Dillingham has hired really good recruiters. Samples and Carrington have a big influence in the Texas high schools. Samples was one of the biggest reasons we were able to get going. And when we lost him to Oregon, that was crushing. But Then you bring in Hines Ward, and he was able to pick up where we left off. And you initially had Adrian Wilson before he decommitted, but he recruits, what's his name? Cameron Dyer, who plays quarterback out in Albuquerque, but he recruits him to play wide receiver. And now he's a high 4-star kid. Like, they were able to continue recruiting at a high level even when Samples left. But yeah, our positional guys are great recruiters. Brian Carrington, he's a phenomenal recruiter. Like, they get it. And Carrington has that pulse on Texas. The hashtag Texas to Tempe movement was started by Rashawn Samples and Brian Carrington. It's going to be continued. It's going to be continued to be carried by Brian Carrington. They're all over it right now. Let's see. What do you think ASU has in the portal? What needs do we have? I want another kicker. I want an offensive tackle. I want an edge rusher. And I would like at least one more receiver, preferably 2. And we brought in Adrian Wilson, the safety from Washington State. So you're not hurting for a safety, but I want another defensive back as well. Someone who can play nickel or corner in general. So I have a handful of needs, but I mean, you can address those like individually, one player at a time, and be good to go. So you can get your offensive tackle, you can get another kicker, you can get at least what we'll say two receivers, we'll say an edge rusher, a corner, and that's 6. I know I named more than that, but Kenny said 8 to 9 players. That's 6 that I named to add, and you already have Noble Johnson, Riley Moss, and Kanye Udo. And I think there was one more guy as well. So you can finish this up here really, really soon. BC, if I weren't in New York City, I'd go to a game. Well, you continue to support the team at home. You're doing more than your fair share. You don't need to go to a game to support ASU. You're doing more than enough. Don't sell yourself short. Les Ordway, what's going on? Oh, no, we're not reading that. I'm not reading stuff from the game. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. We're not talking about the football game. So I appreciate you tuning into the live. I'm not reading anything about the football game. Tyler. Yep, not reading that. Sean Benitez, this is my 3rd year as a season ticket holder. Love it. I might have tickets available since I'm going to try and go to an away game this year. You should. And there's going to be some really fun away games for ASU. I'm going to be making it out to Starkville for the Mississippi State game. I would love to get myself out to, oh God, where else are they going? I would love to go to Baylor. I'm familiar with the Waco area. I would love to get out to Baylor and see that game, and their stadium is beautiful. Who else are we visiting next year? I can't remember if we're visiting Colorado, if we're hosting Colorado. If we visit, yeah, I'm definitely going to Boulder for sure. But there's a lot of awesome places that we will be having the opportunity to go to next year. And you should travel. If you can, you should have some fun. And that's another way to show your support is travel with the team. ASU travels well. We just proved that at the Peach Bowl. We sold that thing out, man. There was a point in time where it felt like it was louder. It was louder for ASU than it was Texas. It was phenomenal. It was so much fun. Let's see. Comments are piling in right now. I appreciate you guys so much. Don Armani, thanks for your post, dude. I'm not reading that. The key to starting a dynasty, you have to recruit at a high level. ASU is not at that level yet. Precisely. They're doing a good job and they're building that momentum, but I think that momentum is stacking itself up. So we'll see. Kenny is a Sun Devil. He's not going anywhere. Absolutely. Mark, you are spot on. Samuel Austin, Baylor fan here. Coach Dilly's got y'all heading in the right direction. Excited to play all next year. Appreciate it. And I love that Dave Aranda was able to turn your guys' season around. And I like Dave Aranda. So I was very happy when he was able to get the Baylor Bears back in the right direction again, because it wasn't the start of the season they wanted, but it was the end of the season they wanted. And with whatever goes on in the portal in your recruiting class, I have no idea what your recruiting class is. Your quarterback is coming back, and I can't remember his name. My apologies, but Baylor fans have made me very aware of him, and Baylor's going to compete next year, and playing you guys in Waco is going to be a blast. Let's see. Living in Texas, I'm going to try and catch the Baylor game. You should, and it'd be fun. And if I can make it, then I'll let you guys know. Sean, Colorado, Utah, Baylor. I would love to go to all three of those away games. Those would be really fun. Tyler, are you going to be back on as a guest on Orange Bloods to talk about the game? I thought that was mentioned. Yeah, I just need the invite. Throw me out an invite. I would love to talk about the game again. This just isn't the episode to do it. But yeah, Tyler, I don't care. Whatever Texas podcast wants to host me, I am more than happy to come on. I just need the invite. Nick, no reason to apologize. I'm still glad you're here, man. Sergeant Donald Richie, I showed my wife that read my comment live. She thought that was cool as cool as the other side of the pillow. It makes my day, man, to have people like you that are constantly tuning into my content. One of my most consistent everydayers, Sergeant Donald. Much appreciation to you, and a shout out to your wife as well for also supporting and all that good stuff. Wesder 4, what's going on? Colorado would be a fun away game. It would be, and we don't have the schedule yet, so that thing could be in like November when it's a little chilly. Maybe we get a snow game. I don't know. Like, it could be a lot of fun. We will wait and see. I went to Stillwater 2 years ago. It was so cool. All the people were awesome. I was so bummed I didn't get to make it out to Stillwater 2 years ago or last year. I would love to get out to Stillwater. That is a bucket list for me for an ASU football game. I want to get up to Stillwater really, really bad. Kenny is building up ASU to be a destination, not a stepping stone. Exactly. And these kids are clearly all in on what Kenny Dillingham is building right now. And that's what's so special about this. That's why the dynasty is on the horizon here. Hey, Chavez, what's going on? Start with both lines too deep. That's foundation. Win the game in the trenches. We saw that against Texas. Texas dominated the line of scrimmage on defense. I mean, Sam Levitt was running for his life. If Sam was not a dual threat quarterback, I think he gets sacked like 10 times. Like, they killed it. But then vice versa. ASU dominated the line of scrimmage against the run. Texas had 53 rushing yards, something like that. A team that feasts on running the football. I mean, ASU just shut them down. But that's exactly the point. That's where you win football games, is the trenches. ASU's D-line looks great. The O-line, they just went up against a buzzsaw. They're still a good unit, but yeah, I would love to add more depth and some more competition. But yes, couldn't agree with you more, A. Chavez. Got to get as deep and talented on the line there. Like you said, that's the foundation. Hamsu, what's going on? I'm going to ASU at Boulder. Love that. If I make it out there, I will give you a shout and we'll have a good old time. But I love that you're going to make that trip out there. Zimenez, I believe is how you're going to pronounce that. How are you? Anyone thinks Kenny Dillingham is going anywhere, watch his introductory press conference and tell me that's a man who's going to chase money. That was the moment I knew he wasn't leaving, was that press conference. He is teary-eyed, and he's talking about it being his dream job. He opens it with, I'm home. That's all I needed. You hear all the time, guys are like, oh, this is my dream job, blah, 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 and then they do leave places. I have never seen anyone who said it's my dream job that came out and talked about it like Kenny Dillingham had and then leave the program. I'm sure there's other coaches that have come out and wept with excitement. And yet, Kenny Dillingham is one of the guys who stayed. He was never leaving. He was never, ever leaving. AZ Fig, how are you doing? Who are we looking at to replace Scadaboo? We're returning a lot of the backfield. Raleek Brown and Kyson Brown are back. I anticipate Jason Brown will be back. I don't know why Alton McCaskill wouldn't be back, especially with the transfer stuff. I don't know what his eligibility looks like. I assume he's back. They got a kid coming in next year's recruiting cycle, and then they added Kanye Udo from Army to probably be your starter, at least for spring ball and initial depth chart and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of, oh my goodness, what's the word? Committee. A lot of committee to replace Scadaboo. You're not going to have a single individual player who does, but first of all, Sean Aguano is still there, and Sean Aguano knows how to get the most out of his running backs. Since 2019, Benjamin was over 1,000 yards. Rashad White had a 1,000-yard season. Xavier Valladay had a 1,000-yard season. Cameron Scadaboo just set the single-season record in rushing yards. Aguano's there. He's not going anywhere. ASU is going to be just fine at running back. I just don't expect them to have another guy like Scadaboo anytime soon, if ever. But we're going to be just fine. Baylor Stadium is great coming from a Longhorn. Well, there you go. I've only seen pictures and videos and stuff like that, but it looks beautiful, and I would love to make it out there. That'd be second on my list. Starkville is my number one, especially because week 2 when we played Mississippi State, their fans were amazing. Some of them had stuck around for a while. I don't know if there's still any Mississippi State fans that follow the show. They stuck around for a minute, and they were telling me I got to come out. So I said, fine, I got to come out. So Starkville is my number one for sure. There's no way I missed that game. And after that, I'd probably put Baylor number 2 and Colorado 3. But yeah, no, Baylor is definitely one of the ones I will be going to. If it's not this year, then definitely in the near future. Let's see. Baritone, play Richie. I truly believe if Jordan was in that game, there'd be a different outcome. I'll have to explore that some other time. Like I said, I'm not gonna talk too much about the game, but it would have been interesting what Tyson could have done against this elite secondary, but who knows? All right, they got like 6 running backs, Sean. Yes, they do. It's like I said, it's going to be this committee approach. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I got some closing thoughts here for you guys. But again, Dillingham is staying. He's extended. He can be here up to 10 years. And I promise in the meantime, as he continues to have success, they're going to add on to that contract. You're going to see all sorts of really good incentives that are added in there for him to continue to have him stay. And this coaching staff behind him, you've got the coordinators for at least the next 3 years. And who knows what happens after that? Because, I mean, Brian Ward should be a hot commodity at some point in time to become a head coach. Marcus Arroyo has head coaching experience. But you got the guys behind him. I know Hines Ward has a bright future in front of him. Brian Carrington has already been one of the best assets of this coaching staff that ASU has added. I already sang the praises of Sean Aguano, but I'll sing them again. Sean Aguano is phenomenal. We're going to continue to have great depth in the running back room. Jason Mons, a tight end coach. Terrific. AJ Cooper on the defensive line. Vince Amy still has a role with the team. He's just not the head coach of the defensive line anymore. We got guys that are assistants right now. DJ Foster is with the team. Trenton Bourget will be joining the coaching staff next year as a graduate assistant. They're building a really great foundation right now. But again, the key centerpiece of all of it has been Kenny Dillingham. He created the coaching staff. He has created this team. He's recruited the key players, and he's getting the fans. He's getting the fans activated. They're reinvested. The dormant fans are back in on Arizona State Sun Devils football. It's special. It is special what they're doing right now. It is special what Kenny Dillingham has been able to do in such a short amount of time for the Sun Devils. Phenomenal. I am so beyond excited for this future. And I truly think that ASU has the chance to be able to create a dynasty here. They've got that potential. But as we all know, championships are hard to win. Very hard to win, especially in a sport with over 120 teams that can get into the college football playoff. ASU is going to have to compete at a very high level. They showed that they can do it this year, though. They showed very quickly that they can do it. And they have shown the investment into this program How many guys have already said they're coming back? How many of these recruits are already committed to the program? Not a lot of guys are flipping. They're flipping guys, if anything. Former highly touted guys that were in the transfer portal are coming to Arizona State now. This is it, man. That sleeping giant we've been talking about for longer than I've been alive. For decades, we've talked about the sleeping giant, and that sleeping giant, it's awake. Something special is going on in the desert. If you're not invested in this team, you better get invested right now. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet, you should definitely subscribe. Very biased. We're one of the best shows out there. Probably the best. Top 2 and not number 2. But we got lots of football to talk about. I literally today, as I was sitting on the plane, was thinking of stuff I want to talk about. I'm not exaggerating, almost 20 podcast ideas that we'll be talking about that are just football. We got a good basketball team going. And in the Big 12 conference, which is probably the conference for college basketball, ASU's got a chance to make some serious noise there. And if that basketball team is able to continue playing at a high level, they're 9-3 right now, we're going to have a lot of basketball to talk about too. And from there, everything trickles down and continues to get better and better and better and better and better for football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, swim, wrestling, all of it. And I'll keep you posted on all the big stuff that's going on. But for football and basketball coverage, I'm definitely your guy. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you all so much. We're going to be back on a regular schedule now that I am home and I have my equipment. We will be back tomorrow. I wrote down what I was going to talk about. It's on my phone. It's going to be the big takeaways from the game for sure. So the good and the bad from the game. I've got what needs to be improved on, all that good stuff. And then, like I said, I got so much content that I've already got written down, good to go. There are player interviews that are coming up. There's a really big interview coming up. I just got to get the official time scheduled with this player. You guys are going to absolutely love it. It's going to be a blast to get to sit down with these guys. And any players that are wanting to hop on. I would love to sit down and talk with you guys. We got a lot of great stuff planned for you, though. Now has never been a better time to subscribe to Locked On Sun Devils if you haven't already. We're everywhere. Obviously, you're here on YouTube, but you can find us wherever you're getting your shows. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're the best. Like I said, I'll see you tomorrow. Till next time, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.